Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. It's a Brompton, you see, and the thing about the Brompton, right, it's like this iconic British design. I mean, it's made in England, it's made in London. I think it's actually made in Brompton, and it was designed by this guy. I think his name was Andrew Ritchie back in the 1960s or something. And it's one of these iconic British designs. It's probably the only thing that we still manufacture in the United States of Kingdom. And the thing about the Brompton, you see, like, is a lot of people don't know this, but it's a folding bike. Now, I'm not going to fold it up, but what it does, you see, is it folds up, and it's got this iconic British design because it's a tri-fold. That means three, tri-fold, not try and fold it, but try as in TRI, like triathlon, because it folds in three bits. You see, there's like a clamp here, and there's like a clamp here, and then there's like a clamp here. You see, so those three clamps enable it to fold up. So what you can do is you can ride it. You see, you can ride it because it's got these small wheels, and it's a bicycle with pedals and wheels and so forth. Small wheels, iconic British design. So you can ride it, but then when you get somewhere, like, I don't know, you get to a train station or something, or you get to a cafe, then you can unfold it. You see, you can fold it, or you can fold it up, actually, because you've ridden it unfolded. Obviously you can't ride it folded, you have to ride it unfolded. But when you get to where you want to go, like a train station or something, then you can fold it up and you can carry it with you. You see, so when you've folded it up and you've carried it with you, you're like one of those people who's got a Brompton, this iconic British design that you can carry along and you can fold up. And the ride, I mean, the ride is really good, actually. I mean, a lot of people think it's rubbish, but it's not, actually, when you consider the fact that it's got small wheels, like I don't know, like a child's tricycle or a pushchair or something like that. I mean, you'd think it'd be really uncomfortable, and of course it is uncomfortable, but it's not really uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable like you'd imagine if you were cycling, I don't know, on a pushchair or something. And if you were cycling on a pushchair, I mean, you couldn't fold it up. Well, you could fold it up, but because you can fold up pushchairs, but you can't cycle them because they've got four wheels. Well, you could if it had like pedals and so forth, but it hasn't. But the Brompton, you see, is the iconic British design, and they've made 1 million of them. Can you imagine that? They've made 1 million of these iconic fold-up bicycles, and they've exported them all over the world. I mean, absolutely everywhere, except, you know, in London you can't see them at all because people just don't ride bicycles in London. But if you go somewhere else, like, I don't know, Copenhagen or Singapore. I mean, I read somewhere that there were 2 million Bromptons in Singapore. There are 4 Bromptons for every person who lives in Singapore. Can you imagine that? And when they fold them up, right, it kind of takes up the whole town. There's no space left for anybody except folded Bromptons, you see. But the thing is, it's amazing, iconic British design that was designed, I think, in about 1964 by this guy called Andrew Ritchie, who now nobody's ever heard of. But he had this idea. He said, why can't we have like a bicycle with small wheels that you could then fold up maybe into 3 bits? And the thing about it is, like, they do all this aftermarket stuff that you can buy mostly from Singapore and China and Taiwan and other Chinese countries like that. And what you get, you see, is you get extra bits that you can buy for. Most of them are made of titanium. They're really expensive and you order them and they never arrive. But when you get them, they're really good, and you can put them on your bike, you can kind of bling it up, you can kind of pimp it up if you're a pimp and you want to ride a Brompton on, you know, you're a pimp on a Brompton, you see. Then you'd be riding around on this iconic British design. And when you get to, I don't know, wherever your ladies are based, then you can unfold your bike, you can go inside, you can collect the money, you know, and then you can ride it off. So pimping your Brompton is a really popular thing to do, and I've done quite a lot of that, not the actual pimping, but in terms of pimping the Brompton, because I've got this titanium seat post, I've got these titanium wheels, I've got these titanium grips, I've got titanium everything. In fact, the bicycle is not anything like what it was originally. It's no longer that iconic British design. It's actually what you could call Julian's pimped up Brompton. Anyway, there you are. You meet somebody in a pub or a cafe, like a Costa or a Starbucks or whatever it is, and they're like a graphic designer, and they've got this MacBook Air or even one of those iPads, you know, with the pencil that you can draw on the iPad, and you go in there and you sit down, you've got your Brompton, you can't fucking move anywhere because everybody's got Bromptons, you're tripping over them, and there's like mummies with pushchairs and grandparents in wheelchairs. I mean, the whole world in Costa Coffee is taken up by wheels. I mean, what's happened? Why can't people use their legs anymore? Why can't you walk anywhere? Why do you have to get a bloody bicycle or a bus or, I don't know, a scooter or something like that? I mean, the thing about it is a Brompton, I mean, it's rubbish, really. I mean, it costs a fortune. It's really expensive. I mean, it's so heavy. I mean, you're trying to get it onto the train, you're knocking people over. I took it on the train the other day and I hadn't folded it up, and I got inside and I was like between these two seats trying to fold this up, and this girl looked at me and she was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I said, I'm sorry, this isn't really working, is it? Because I trapped her in her seat with my really nice Brompton. I got talking to her anyway. She turned out to be quite nice, but that's not the point of this story. The point of this story is that the Brompton bicycle is this really iconic British folding design that you ought to go and buy if you can afford it, but you probably can't because it's so expensive.